Hi, everybody, and hi, evening, daytime, nighttime, whenever you hear this broadcast or this video and audio portions. Then I thank you very much for tuning in. And I know I've had some Facebook people and LinkedIn people that tune in to us really well, and I appreciate everybody that takes interest in what we're doing here on the. This is the Strange Reality, and it's Dave Emmons right here and got the Strange Reality Show about twice a week. I run it. I'm also running uh, This is going to be networked onto Aaron Hunter's Paranormal Network. Also, every Thursday he's going to be running one of my shows, so that'll be networked out across the globe. So I am networking the program besides the platforms that I normally have, like Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitter, those types of platforms. But I'm networking out to other networks too that they're taking my shows and working with them. And I appreciate that. Strange Reality Show appreciates that because anymore it's the field of I guess podcasting is getting pretty crowded. A lot of topics out there, a lot of good programs out there, and so it's something that we're all trying to get. I guess your ears or your eyes seeing our shows, but we're glad that you do that. Uh, my guest today uh, from Australia, and I've had several guests from Australia, UK, and great people. All it's always been fun when I do interviews with people from Australia and also UK. They're really great people, and they're sincere about what they're doing and what they're involved in. Well, my guest today is Elsa Dillon, but she has a family. She's got 8 kids and she's got a husband, and their family of 10 experiencers living on a farm in Byron Bay Hills, Australia. Elsa, mom of 8 children with husband Richard Dillon. Both Elsa and Richard are international fashion photographers and videographers, shooting celebrities, magazines, and advertising behind the scene professionals for over 3 decades. So they've done that. And she's telling me a little bit why they slowed down in that area. I guess because the COVID turned things around quite a bit for them. The Dillon's second incarnation here on Gaia, family over souls, all called in together again to incarnate in this realm. Experiences, beings, messages, oversoul connection, and happenings with the paranormal. Over 400 beings to date, and she'll be talking about some of those, many forms and multi-dimensional realms, sharing since last Christmas with those ready to experience. She's been their whole family has been connected with a lot of beings, multi dimensional beings, and she'll tell you a little bit about that. And I, since I come from a large family, it's kind of exciting, to hear that a whole family is involved in this thing. I got about 4 people involved in my family with ETs and UFOs, not as much as myself, but my mom has had, not problems, but she's been scared a few times with visitors that she didn't really want. And she's 96, and I'll have her on the show before long. But right now, Elsa Dillon, would you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe add on to what I just put in there on your bio?
Thanks, Dave, for the intro. It's nice to be here with you. We, yeah, my husband and I came together in '97, and pretty much my world as a normal human being collapsed. It all started falling away. I had a near death the day before I met my husband. I got electrocuted, and I felt like that was part of it. I feel like everything's part of this great show that we're all involved in, and you're all part of your own show or your own spin. And
Right.
this is the name of our business, Spin Beings. We believe that everyone is spinning their own orbit, and you just come into others' fields. And so you're spinning your own spin. So this is why it's important not to um, encroach on other people's orbits or their own course, but you come together, you share, and then you move off. You come together, you share, you move off. So this is the spinning. We actually do also spin to stabilize our ions in our body with the magnetics of Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Some family members do it daily. Some, don't do it so much. Each person in our family has different, well, they're all different stars in the family as well. So they all have different ways that they get through their day to day with not only 3D, but the paranormal, metaphysical. A lot of the terminology, when you hear me speak, because we haven't been in the spirituals communities, the terminology we've made up, the words to help the children understand because they were so young. They've been doing this from day one. So we've had to use words so that they could understand. And so when we met, on 2020, when I started meeting groups and interviews and things, when we came out, I had to check my terminology with others so that we could understand it. How I would. Most people get it when they hear me speak. They can hear my frequency. They know that I'm speaking from truth. I'm speaking from experience. I'm not speaking from someone else's orbit. I'm speaking from mine.
Right.
And I find that this is what's happening: is people are hearing other people's truths and being drawn to it like a magnet. They've had enough of all the fabricated show, and now people are really zooming in on truths in others to find it more in themselves. And it's admirable, it's very loving, it's kind, and it's also contagious. I feel like it's just growing and growing and growing, and I feel like it's a big snowball that can't stop now. It's great.
I wanted to ask you about you call it the spin beings, and the Aborigines in Australia have drawings also that goes around in circles and it kind of goes. Is that what they're talking about also? The circular pattern that you see all over the world in the ancient cultures? Uh,
Yeah, this spin. Well, see, when we called it spin beings, we called it spin because we spin. And we actually do spinning daily because it stops you being seasick on the boat.
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you spin daily when you go on the boat, and if you're a bit rocky on the boat, you just seem to be more stabilized, so you don't get seasick. So we can tell if someone's not spinning in the family because they get seasick really easily. So we share that with the fishermen. They all laugh, and then you can see sometimes they're a bit green on the boat and they try it and they go, yeah, it works, it works. So it's quite...
You're trying to get your equilibrium and your inner ears adjusted, I guess, right? That would, but
Yeah,
the spin beings has
it's everywhere, yeah.
is another meaning though. That means all beings have to spin, and you say we spin back around to life and then come back, Elsa.
We believe that this symbol is everywhere. A lot of the over the 3 decades they have showed me ETs, all ancient cultures, ghosts, whoever is in communication with me, bring me back to the core words, in the core vibration and feeling of language. And we found across all cultures this spin is everywhere. The Mayans, the Hopis, the Aztecs, the Celts.
Yeah.
It's everywhere, but it's also replicated in astrology,
Yeah.
mythology. Like, it's not just at the Asian cultures. It's also, we have a few of the children study astronomy. It's in that as well. And it all coincides. And what's happening is, this is one thing that when we first started coming out, the lady that we met who was a specialist in this, Mary Rodwell, she's amazing. She said, look, I'm not sure how your information is going to be interpreted by the medias because you cross so many fields, but you're merging it all together. And they like to keep their groups separate. the ETs, the angels, they all this was 2 years ago. In 2 years, we have seen everyone start coming together.
Mhm.
It's been amazing.
I've seen on your email you sent me, there was a bunch of pictures of different beings, extraterrestrial beings, the interdimensional beings that you have seen and your family has seen. And there's about two or three of them that I've seen in lucid dreams having my ET experiences. I'm an experiencer, and my first book is They, What Do They Want? It's about my lifelong experiences with ETs and UFOs. So I understand some of this that you're talking about. Uh, I'd like to be better connected, like you have these classes and these groups that help people connect with interdimensional beings and communication. I lack that. I'm more of the tangible, seeing six craft, meeting several ETs. But I'd like to reach out into the consciousness and get what you have, and fulfill my communications with these beings. But some scientists, you mentioned scientists in this little circular diagram that they got, some of them call that a portal, a portal that people go in and out of. What do you say about that? That's Elsa.
Oh, I think in the language, we are the portholes. We are the portholes, first of all. So, you can actually, like we found, what's been interesting is having such a large family is you have all the different characters in the family. What happens when we all go off into the public by ourselves, our day to day, and what encounters they have. And sometimes the encounters our son will connect with our eldest daughter who's, 3 or 4 hours drive away. And
Wow.
they'll have the same happening. Same beings come to them. Craft. Sometimes the interaction is just a craft. Sometimes it's cloaked as military. Sometimes it's ghost. Sometimes it's like a humanoid type. So there's many different encounters that we have. Then there's the humans that still have souls, but they're so dim, and then they have like a layer of another being over them. So so we're having all these encounters, and then we have it with the animal realm as well. At the same time, it's quite unique. So what we're showing as examples to other people, there is no one way to do this. It's what your spin is will attract to you that what your gift is. They'll come to you because they know that you have that gift.
Okay. And
And
your
they're just
daughter,
waiting for you.
and yeah, and your daughter living 3 hours or so away, they're tracking us through our DNA frequencies? Is that how they track us, and they know where we're at? Or how are they connected with us?
Yeah, how are they connect? Great question. I think it's definitely, we keep seeing ourselves as arcs. So we have your left foot, which is your feminine, and your right foot, which is your masculine. So you have two souls walking on earth. And we believe that the true heart is the spleen. And they changed the wording of the word heart. But the true heart was spleen. So spleen is heaven. So you're arcing as you're walking. So you are king
Yeah.
as you walk. So as you hear this term grounding
Right.
and royal reign, this is you. So you're running your own ship, your temple, and you're arcing every step. You're grounding here, left, right, and it's arcing through heaven, which is the decision place, which is the chessboard within us. And many things have been written about this place, Alice in Wonderland. This is the place where we make our decisions, our gut feeling. And so we're arcing all the time. So arcing is a electrical term. So now we're coming into physics. So
Right.
you're a frequency arcing all the time. So how you're arcing will attract law of attraction of others. Law of attraction can be law of attraction with humans. And this is how our human brain goes. This is as far as we think it is. Law of attraction also can bring in clouds, meteors, asteroids.
Wow. We can do
Yeah.
that for ourselves, right? I mean, do we bring that on
Well,
ourselves?
an asteroid and a comet contains frozen mud, and in the frozen mud is like hydrogen, water. So we communicate with water. So now we're crossing over to water communication, water intelligence. Water intelligence to our family is the Akashic records. So in this water intelligence, all records are held in it, and we're 70% water. But also now we're crossing over into the car and the washing machine and the fridge
Mm-hmm.
and the trees. So with this law of attraction and understanding the water, once you understand water intelligence, when you move through your day to day, you can tap into that wherever you are, literally. With
That
your car, with your washing machine, with the tree, with the clouds, with the comet, with the asteroids. Yeah.
right. And some of the times, sometimes we're just our physical body is something we have to deal with, and that is a big problem. Health issues, stress, and things of that nature. But I was talking to a couple of people the other day that know a lot about this consciousness thing, and you do too. I mean, you've got an amazing long line of things, and we'll try to touch on some of them. But they say just breathe, deep breathing, and that helps connect. And also, I remember my mom always telling me, so when you wake up in the morning, make sure you drink a glass of water first thing, and water helps ignite your whole soul and your system. Now, some of those old, I guess, folklore things, they do work, don't they, Elsa? Water is what we need, and deep breathing is what we need.
Well, the you come here with, so again, electrical and physics. The way they've described our beingness here is that we're two streams. And so now I'm going to cross over into another big topic is AI.
Okay.
So we are here as two streams. So we are breath and water. And these are the things that our temple can carry. So we carry breath and water, and we carry the essence of us, which is the consciousness of us, which is the spice. You'll see this in the movie June, the Golden Compass. A lot of films do have all the clues in there for us. They just sort of goop them up with other stuff, with Hollywoodness. But this spice is in us. We come as a starseed spice. This is what we are. We're the dust, tar. So this is the two streams. So we can carry this in our temple. So, and then we have the consciousness. So that's AIR, air.
Okay.
This is what the AI cannot carry the God code or the essence, or they can't carry this.
Right.
And this is what separates us from AI. So AI is there, as everything else is there, as a tool, and it mimics us. It mimics our behavior, but it will never be able to hold the whole dynamics of us. So it will always be lacking that one, because it's AI. It can't carry the conscious dust of us.
And we have a soul and a spirit. It's a spiritual thing, but the creator, the source, what they call, what does the creator, the source, how does that work? How does that that great. I mean, there's no name for it. A lot of people call him God or
Yeah.
whatever, but he's the creator and the source is what words I use now. A source of all energy and spiritual power, and we are connected with him. Is that right, Elsa?
Yeah, well, this is another huge topic. It's great though. This is what I just spoke about recently. Is we can remote view, and you can see versions ahead and behind, or whichever way you want to look at it, because there's no time. And creations is here to create. So creation just keeps creating. This is what creation keeps doing.
Right.
Creation is not interested in clones or copies. And this is what happens. And I notice it in humans is you get sick of the copies, you get sick of the clowns, you get sick of the clones. We are looking and searching for the truth in others. And the more truth that you hold within yourself, the less patience you have for the copies and the clones. So they kind of just drift off. And these last 2 or 3 decades here, the way they've designed our schooling systems and Hollywood and stuff, they've cosmetics, clothing, they've attempted to make us behavioral patterns be cloned in each other. And it's kind of boring
I know
because,
there's some corrupt scientists and I guess other agencies around this world that are making clones of us,
yes.
and they play us in certain roles, and in big, I guess the big shot people, or the big elites, we can call them. Sometimes they have clones or they have doubles that
Mm.
take their place, and how they make them. They make them pretty fast. They know how to do it. Science is about 60 years ahead of us in what they're doing. But like you're saying, is that we at ourselves, we can't tolerate this cloning thing because we're spiritual beings, and we have our own, I guess, source presence. And I guess, do you have anything to add on that? I guess
Yeah, so what will happen is, so imagine you're an atom spinning now. So you're a big atom with all the other atoms in you. So you're spinning your truth. So you're speaking your truth. You're being the best version that you can be of you for that moment, that everything you know, right? And then you have one of these types come into your path. They can't be there that long. They become frustrated, they become irritable, they become angry because they're not doing it. And so what's happened is they've come into your path, they've seen you for their journey, because by them seeing you, that's their path, their orbit, their course, and it might trigger them to actually become awakened or whatever for that. So can you see what I'm saying? Like,
right.
but they won't be able to stay in your energy for too long. And people say, do you feel protected? Do you feel safe? And I say, yes, because I believe in the spin. I believe in the starness of each person. And yes, sometimes, people that make you feel uncomfortable do come into your path. But if you stay true to you, they can't be there that long.
Right. And I also hear they say if you're afraid of danger or people coming after you, or what you say, could cause other people to, it gets involved more in politics and security and things of that nature. That if you keep goodness and good energy around you, you're protected. That's what a lot of the
Mm.
people tell me that are they're into this consciousness thing. And I see here that the Dillons have had many moments to adjust to all this info. Tighter space for all the frequencies downloading is much harder on emotions, atoms, and body. We find sharing our ways is now assisting many with this process. I know you give speaking engagements, and you also do, I think, a lot of Zoom and internet interviews with people. And uh, uh, I really, you're helping the world, and I think that's really great, Elsa, in spreading this. But what did you mean? I guess you're talking about your family has experimented together and worked together to refine this I guess what you're learning and what you're knowing, Elsa.
So a lot of the time we didn't know what was going on. We had to literally unfold it like a present and understand what was going on. So um, ghosts, dark ones, military, we had to, why is this happening to us? Why is this doing this? Why is this? So we would experiment with things, different ways to interact with it and approach it. So yes, at first, a lot of this stuff can be very scary because it's not, it's foreign, it's alien, it's not part of how we have been taught. But to our children, because they have been taught it from the beginnings, it isn't that scary to them.
Yeah. Right.
Because it wasn't programmed into them in the beginning. So, if anything, they are more playful with it. This playfulness raises the frequency of their ions in their body, which is again lifting or ascension or high vibrating or whatever the words you want to call it. It's actually physics. So
Right.
now the atoms in your body, instead of them moving like this, they move like this.
Right. Yeah. And the higher the
S-
frequency, the better off you are, right?
Well, when these atoms are like this, the atoms that are tired, cloned, ill, sick, damaged, they can't be around this, or they naturally vibrate and eventually heal this one over here.
Hmm.
So this is what happens: your atoms in your body, your ions in your body, your atoms. This is atom, atoms, ions, iams. They're all the same word. It lifts them and it heals. It not only heals you, it heals the ones around you, even if they aren't awake. It just heals them.
Right. Now, what
It
I,
just
I
by
I asked people. I know you got into the military. You got ghost. You got poltergeist, and you got angels, and of course you got ETs. Could you tell me since you've experienced all these, could you tell me the difference between them? What is the difference between those entities like angels and ETs and ghosts? Are they all the same, or are they just here to influence us or tell us something, Elsa?
so we've been doing this for over 30 years. So integration has been a long process. So in the beginning, they all felt scary and the same. I'm just giving an example for the viewers. Then, yeah, once you start to understand the dynamics of it and the many different layers of it, and again, through all the cultures, you start to see traits and different feelings. Um, at first, a lot of them will present in a certain way, and it comes across really scary to our human experience.
Hmm.
But if you stay here in your spin, they shapeshift before you. And this is, we found this very unique. And so something a lot of the time they're trying so hard to get our attention. For the last few decades, fear has been the way to get our attention.
Yes.
Sadness, fear, drama, disaster, financial crisis, death. And it's unfortunate that this is how humans need to get your attention, but this has happened with us as well. It's things that bring you to your knees, make you surrender, prayer, surrender for to your knees,
Yeah.
and it gives you enough time to pause,
Right.
pause our full souls in our feet and our hands. We pause so that we can see the light, literally. So now we're talking like Bible words, Bible sayings,
Right.
see the light. We're talking a lot of prayer, falling on the knees, surrendering, allowing. So allowing is all low.
Mhm.
So see how it's wordplay as well? It's all here before us. We just have to have that space. Now we're going space, allowing of our spin to collect it all.
Right.
And so
So
it's
it,
like we've been living in this really distracting, busy world. Then you slow it all down so that you can vibrate more, and then it gets busy, but busy in an allowing sense.
okay.
So
Now,
you don't have
yeah.
you don't have a rule or a structure for it. You just allow it, and then it changes.
You explained that they shapeshift in order to put fear in us, ETs, ghosts, and poltergeist, and a bit. Uh, how does religion and the Bible play into? Is it connected to a lot of the experiences that you and your family have had, Elsa?
Yeah. So when we go in a session or in groups with people, we hear their story and we hear their voice, and then we're like a sounding board. We replay the story back in a, a decoded version, I guess, without all the goop of humanity on it. We bring it back down to what the origins of the message is or the beings that they encountered, and then it becomes clear to them. And it's quite interesting. So someone will start talking about their ET encounter, and then I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm there at that. So it's like I go through, like you described, a tunnel or a wormhole. I'm there. And I'm down, like, because I'm in their frequency, I can tap into what that moment was and collect that information with them, and then present it to them on a different platform. And you can see their eyes, they resonate with it. They
Right.
go, that's what it meant. Oh, that's what it meant. I just didn't see that.
Mm.
And the only reason they couldn't see it was because they were looking through the eyes of how we've been trained.
Right. Yeah.
So as soon as you take the goop off, it
Yeah.
becomes so clear, and they're like, "How could I not see this?" And you can see them. They lift. You
Mm.
literally can see them lift. And we say to them, watch what happens now. Watch for the butterfly effect. Watch what happens in your life now. Watch who comes into your life. Watch who leaves your life, because you've just steered yourself on path.
Right. Now you talked about tuning into somebody's frequency. I'm intuitive, and also I'm an empath. I feel other people, but I can't tune in like you're saying, like a radio. It's kind of like tuning into certain people's frequencies and then being able to jump in there and find out what's going on with them. And you just mentioned that you had that ability. How did you gain that ability? Ella, how'd you do that? Did you train yourself, your whole family, or something? I guess there's been some things happen to you near death and everything, but how did that knowledge come into you that you can tune into somebody else's frequency and see what they're seeing and then help them out, Elsa?
Well, so our first sort of awakening process in a big way was back in 2011, 2012, and we started having this interaction with the other realm.
Mm-hmm.
And we use the word incarnation. We don't feel this is actually quite correct, but we don't actually have another term for it yet. We in the family call it incarn. We realize that this is running parallel to us. It's not actually. So when we hear this whole thing of the past, we actually are realizing that we're interacting with that realm all the time.
Right.
So this went on for probably, we call it a whole cycle, 7 years. We tried to ignore it for some time, but then we realized it wasn't just me interacting with this other realm, it was the whole family, like each family member. And so that we were all replaying or playing out this same realm. So it was really odd. We kept it to ourselves because it's really weird and crazy.
Right.
Just is, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Once we understood this, it was like, okay, now you get this. All right, let's bring in the big guns. So then the ET things, the craft experiences, the Tenenback experience, all this sort of started happening once we had sort of fully got to a level over here with this other realm. So they really wanted us to collapse time, and they wanted to show us how you can change history and interact with the so-called past,
Mm-hmm.
and then this happened. So then that's how I understood that you can just weave in and out, weave in and out. We don't interfere, but we do everything. We follow our own calling. In the each family member follows their own calling. So if we feel like we've got to help a ghost out, we'll help a ghost out. If we've got to go and stand on top of a mountaintop on this day, we'll go and do that. Like there's no rules. We just keep following the calling or the messages we get from these beings.
Right.
So
Is a ghost? A lot of people don't know exactly what a ghost is. They always ask that question. And a ghost is that a spirit that just hasn't found its way home, and you're helping it find its way home? Also?
okay, so this is a practice. So I am. If I skip a lot, it's because we're covering so many topics. So
Yes.
I
Yeah.
hope I.
I
Yeah.
can
So
see it.
if I
No.
sound muddled,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So you have an anchor or a shaft, and they're hooks, or a sickle or a blade. But it's like this. You'll see this symbol a lot. You'll see this symbol in text, but you'll see it in also hieroglyphs and Aztecs, and So this hook is see, a memory is a tool, but a memory can also hold you anchored somewhere. And this is what happens, we find, with ghosts. They get anchored. They also get anchored by humans. And we learnt this on our freeway highways. They put up white bicycles on the freeway or highway with flowers. And these white bicycles they put up on the freeway is where a cyclist has been hit
Right.
on the freeway. And I got clear messages that when you do this, you anchor fragments of that soul there. So it's like an entrapment. And it's best not to do this. And this is why the dying process, a lot of cultures will burn the dead to allow them to go back to being this over here. Or some cultures do embalm, like the Egyptians,
Right.
and this is done so that you can tap into them again, because they believe in double doors as we do. So the ghosts are, sometimes it can be, they just don't understand that they're not here anymore. So they're not here, they're not there, they're in no man's land, and they can be there for a long time. We've had some big ones the last 6 months here, and the kids. Okay, I'll give an example. The kids kept saying that they kept saying the dark man, and I was like, who's the dark man, and how come no one's told me about him? And apparently the kids get up early and they're in the gym, which is just the garage. They've fitted out like the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, he looks in the window at us. And I went, who looks in the window at you? And they said, the dark one. And I went, well, why haven't you told me about him? And they said, oh, we just forget because it's so early in the morning. He's only on this side of the property. And they said, he gives us the creeps. He feels cold when he comes through.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of, it just feels like a peeping Tom. And I went, okay, well, you could this went on for like 3 to 6 months with four or five different family members. So they're all having the same encounter at different times all together. I went, okay, let's do it. So I tapped into his energy. It was masculine energy, and it's a ghost. He didn't know he was dead. But he's looking at us with phones and devices and the cars, and he's been dead for a long time. So he's probably I got messages that he was pre our indigenous. So imagine how we look to him, like he's freaking out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so he's coming across, his energy would be coming across. So when you have someone that's freaked out, imagine how they feel. Their energy, their vibration would come across feeling weird and uncomfortable. And I said this to the kids, this is how his energy is coming across. Let's explain let's see what we can work out what happened. And his death was, he was clobbered on the back here of the head. So he was like at the campfire or something, and he's been clobbered on the back and died. So he didn't know he was dead. Once we worked out and I shared this with him, then we just put some simple candles out that night and say, you know, off with the smoke, you'll be fine. Go back. You're okay now. You understand. No, we haven't had any encounters with him at all. It feels different. The whole house feels different.
Mm.
And it's just acknowledgement. That's all it is. It's power of observation and acknowledgement. Power of observation, acknowledgement. And it's very powerful. It works. And we find that when we do that type of work, something is gifted to us. Like we have ease and grace through the day, or things that we were waiting for, or an assignment or a project that we need to complete it gets completed once we've done this. It's like a reward almost. So we have this, back to the arc again, left, right foot, left foot, right foot. You're arcing, so you give, you receive. Back to the Bible, give, receive. Give, receive. Fair trade, like the Indians.
Right.
Give, receive. Give, receive. This is electricity. This is how it does. It works this way. It needs both.
Yeah. It's kind of, they tell you to be kind and help one another and love one another, and that could even mean spirits, ghosts, or even ETs. Let's just explain your knowledge about ETs. Could you tell us uh, why do ETs come here, Elsa? I mean, there are actually some physical ETs that come here. I've seen some, but there are some that come into your consciousness. Uh, Elsa, could you explain ETs, well, how they fit into all this?
All right. So the other thing. So now I'm going to arc. So I'm going to arc our last conversation now to this topic. So you have no judgment. These are part of the 10 Commandments. They showed me to read that differently in the more purer form as well. And one of them is there is no God above the other, and have no judgment. Okay, so if you have no judgment, a being can present in any form. This is creation.
Right.
But we only, as humans, which is natural, you only think of an ET like what we've seen in Hollywood. ETs come in all shapes and sizes.
Right.
The biggest one we are going through this process right now is that we have many inside us now, right now. Many. And this is ancient alien DNA. They don't know how it got here. They're parasites and viruses, not bacteria. Bacteria is different. Parasite and viruses. They cause every illness that we have in our body. And if you have too many of them, they take over the host.
Okay.
And this is why in many cultures they go up and they fast or they purge because they're basically getting rid of the imbalance of them in them. So that a lot of them seem to colonize. This is where you get this word colonize in our spleen area and intestines or the reproductive organs. Usually it's one or the other. So they're in that heaven area. This is heaven. Once you understand this, heaven's gates, once you understand it, you control your ship. So if you have too many in you, the other ETs know this. They know these ones.
Right.
They know them really well because they're ancient. So they know them. So if you have too many in you, they can feel them. I can feel them if there's too many in a person I'm talking to. So I understand. I have compassion. I have understanding. I have kindness. I understand how far I can take my conversation with the other being because of how many they're carrying in them. They feel different. So if you're high vibrating, a lot of these parasites and viruses can't stick on. It's hard for them to stick on. They've been called vampires over time. They don't like sunlight. They don't like healthy food. They like sugars and starch.
Right.
And it's all about numbers for them. So this is where the number system came in for them.
That brings sense to me. Part of the puzzle that I've had, I met a humanoid ET, and I proved that. It's a long story. I won't take away from the knowledge that you're giving us, but she looked at me, and I told her I didn't know her, and she looked at me. And she says, "I know you." And that's exactly what you were saying a while ago. They do know that 80% of junk DNA that scientists call that's ancient DNA that comes from other races, which you just said, Elsa. So it rang true to me. I was ringing when you said that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, a lot of people, find this part of the conversation. This is where I lose a lot of the audience because they go into denial. And this is a great word, denial, because denial is two streams. So it's the two streams. So when you're saying you're in denial, it's they probably have too many in them, and they're running the host. So they go into, they like us. They like being in us. They're comfy in us. They think we're friends. They're these beings in us. They enjoy us, but they keep us at a weak state. The days of the week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday. It's all before us. All the greats, David Icke, all these people have been telling us all this. It's all before us. They get off on the symbolism. Why? Because they're so tiny. They're sense. They're in us, and they get off on our senses, and also the sugars and the starches. And once you keep them at bay, this is a term. This is also in through all our maps. Once you keep them at bay, and you start to run your ship, the others see your vibration and see that you're not so fragile. They can communicate with you.
okay.
And they can't interfere with us. If they interfere with you and you aren't running your ship, then it turns into a big mess.
Okay, then that makes an erratic person, a stressful person, and a person who can't sleep at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, they see hallucinations, that type of thing. Let's move in. You're so loaded. I'm gonna have to have you back on because so many topics that you cover, and a lot of people are interested in almost all these topics. And I just wanted to get through the physical sense of ghosts and ETs and things, what you thought, because that's part of my show, what I go through. And people ask me what ghosts and ETs are and everything. So I wanted your explanation. Now, channeling beings, realm traveling. what is that? How do you do that? How do you channel beings, Elsa?
Well, okay, I'll mix what you just said. So your show is ghosts and ETs.
No,
I
no,
honest,
it's everything. It's actually everything. But what
all of it, yeah,
yeah, what you're
yeah,
talking about is a connection. This is
yeah,
the cloth that puts everything together. That what you're talking
yeah.
about, and this is a part that I'm missing. I study the ETs and UFOs, and I don't do the ghosts too much. But the thing about that is, I know the physical sense of the ETs, and I know the investigate these, but I don't know. I've had people tell me, Dave, you're going to have to learn how to channel these beings and talk to them like you are. I don't have that ability, so I'm very curious on how you do it. And a lot of people are. And Elsa, like the channeling, how do you get into doing that?
Well, a lot. I don't. Uh, First of all, I have to be calm. Like if I'm trying to be the mum and get everything done, I do have a lot of channeling come through, but I'm not giving it my full power of observation, or so I'm not giving it my full energy. So sometimes I'll just get tidbits through. So so I'm rushing to get the kids out the house or something. So I'm in a bit of a rush state. But I will get channeling through as I'm going through my day. And this is what we show as a family, is how to incorporate this whole way of being, but in a day to day. This is what we're doing in a more practical sense. So it doesn't happen for me when I'm just meditating. It happens all the time. It happens when I'm making the bed, when I'm brushing my hair, brushing my teeth. It's happening all the time. I'm getting messages all the time. How does it happen? It's through this continual stream of allowing. So again, this word again, stream, denial, the two, it's coming in, it's going out. So when it comes in, the messages, I don't place judgment on it. I try not to put any timeline on it. I just let it come in and go out, come in and go out. If it keeps coming in, it's like a calling. It's like it needs attention. It's like there's an anchor there, and it takes me to that moment, wherever that moment might be.
And
And so I go there, and I don't have any rules on it. So I don't take on all the history I've learned as a child, all my schooling. I don't, all the Hollywood films I've seen. I don't place that rule on it. So anything could go, anything's possible. There is no impossible. So what does that do to my brain? It sent me crazy. It made me feel like I was going crazy because then I was making a judgment on myself and comparing myself to others. I'm crazy. They don't say this. They say I'm wrong. They say I'm this. They say I'm that. So then this whole judgment thing comes in. So
right.
now I'm crazy. But I'm not crazy. I know that my whole beingness knows I'm not crazy. I'm just allowing. And this process took us, to now to understand this, so that we could stand and walk it with responsibility, but also without doubt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so we've had so many experiences with us and the kids, and it's over and over and over, so that the doubt is just gone. There's no doubt anymore. The
Now
doubt's funny.
the younger kids can see things we can't. Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, they can
Yeah.
see ghosts or entities when they're young, and I've always seen this in the movies. Like the poltergeist, the little girls are at the TV, and she says they're here, they're here.
Hmm.
So the kids understand that better. I guess they see things deeper than what adults do, and I guess you've learned that from your kids, Elsa, right?
Yeah. So we're on a farm. So we have cats and dogs and chickens and horses. So, and then we might have a neighbor or family, someone, a friend, or the kids might bring a friend over. This is where it gets interesting. So we'll have an encounter with a craft or a meteor or a ghost or even a fae type, like the the we have a lot of we call them the giant ones here. Australia has different names. They call them bunyips, yowies, mimis. So there's all different spirits here too, like similar to the States. And so we'll have an encounter with like the dogman or someone like this type of being, and we can have someone with us, and they'll say, "What was that?" Because they can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
They can't. They can feel it. They got a taste of it, but they can't see the fullness of it because of the way their power of observation is. Because instantly their body doubts it, reminds them of a movie or a memory of something, so they just can't see it. It's quite amazing. Yet, you know, 4 of the family members can see it. Not only the family members, the pets. The pets are following the same way our eyes are going. So, or you watch a chicken, watch the same. so, so just say something ran across the paddock, and we all see it, but this person can feel it, but they don't know what it is. They're not tapping into it because they've got too many filters on, or programs, or too many of the beings inside them, or. And it doesn't mean that they're a bad person or anything. It's just for that's where their path is for that moment. And maybe they were just there with us to have that experience, so then they can go off and explore it in their way.
So these cryptids and these unusual, I guess, beings or entities you run into, they don't cause you any harm, right? Have you ever been harmed by any of your experiences? You know, while you're
Yeah,
Elsa?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, I've had a couple of markings. We've had teeth implants in the kids that we've had them removed, um, like physically removed
Mm-hmm.
from the dentist, and the dentist's going, what the hell is this?
Yeah. Oh,
uh, yeah, so um, what's funny again is there's so many of us. So this it we it's hard to. So if there's 1 or 2 of you, that's one thing, but there's 10 of us. You understand this being a big family.
right. Mm-hmm.
And you said that you were musically inclined.
Mm-hmm.
So you all understand music. You hear the notes, right?
Yeah, the frequencies.
But yeah, but we don't. If you don't play music and you have no understanding of music, you don't hear those same notes. You just hear noise.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and this is what happens is so someone has someone that crosses over, and we say there's a porthole around this death process, and we find that when someone has someone that crosses over, they instantly are drawn to us. It's like, I don't know if it's the one that crossed over is pushing them to us or what it is, but they come to us, and they'll say they keep having this bird encounter. I said, I think this is how they're communicating to you, through this bird. And sure enough, I'll be talking to them and that bird will fly between us, like just uncanny things. And they'll go, how is this possible? And I said, because it is. The only reason it isn't possible is if you keep turning it off. So,
Right. I'd like to take a pause here just to say you're listening to the Dave Emmons Strange Reality Show. Elsa and Richard Dillon from Australia have 8 kids, and they've had many encounters and I guess talking to beings and going across like she just said, crossing over and passing through the realms. Uh, Now you can do that. It you can just command yourself to cross over and go into these realms and visit other people. Elsa, can you do that?
well, I just, it just is like while I'm communicating with you, I'm hearing your words, and they're stirring things up in me. So they're stirring up words and feelings in me, and I'm not judging them. I'm just checking. I just keep checking in on them, and so I'm spinning around the feeling, I guess, of what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes I'll get an electric charge, like a zap or a ping or like a flash, and I go, oh, there it is,
Yeah.
there it is, there it is, and then I stream down there, what that there it is, and sometimes like. So how do you tap into all this? There's many ways to tap into it all. You can tap into it. I used to do a lot of mirror work. Not through choice either. I used to be so scared of mirrors because I could see ghosts and I could see other beings in the mirrors. It was very scary. I used to hide from mirrors, whereas now I can stare into a mirror and you sort of see yourself, and it takes you deep into the iris or the pupil of you. You can stare at people, staring at people. You can see beings around them. Some people see auras.
Mm-hmm.
Solar, staring at the sun. You can get communication through the sun. This is a big one as well for us. Lying on the ground, standing in water, drinking, having oil in your body, like having castor oil or coconut oil or salts and waters heightens you because you become a better electrical conductor. So this is back to physics of the body again. How else do you... And I guess the other thing is, I say, is almost like just for 1 week, document it. So if someone says they keep getting their TV flashes on and off, and then, or they keep breaking glass at this one spot in the house, why? Because beings connect through glass, water. This is all the conductors of electricity. Where do they most come through? Have you got underneath the earth? You can have water streams under your house, and it might go straight under your bedroom. So all the encounters happen in the bedroom, or happens in the bathroom.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's what we say to people: document your life for a bit and see where. Why do you keep looking at that letterbox every time you go to work? Always that letterbox. What is the attraction with my eyes to go to that letterbox every time? So you're on your path, you're going to the shops,
Mm-hmm.
and you always stop and look at that door in the house. Or why do you do that? And there'll be something in there. Why do you have this reoccurring dream?
Yeah.
Because it's the anchor. This anchor is taking you to this spot to either release something, to find out knowledge, not only for you, but for the greater good of all. Once you go in and tap into this moment, this anchor, then it becomes your shaft.
Right. Yeah.
And then you become the shepherd. And this is what they would go into the pyramids and do, is they would go in, and this is a military term, you'll understand this, they would debrief.
Right.
And debriefing and sharing around the campfire, sharing the stories, so that each person has greater understanding of these things that they have happened. This is why they would go and see a shaman or a witch doctor. They would go and they would share to the old lady in the village, and she would share back her understanding. And then everyone has a greater understanding. She learns more from their new version, their version of that experience. Then they learn from her wisdom. And it's give, take, the arcing again. This is how it was done. This is how it used to be done. We just got to get back to that.
Yeah.
This is what your show's about.
Yeah. Right. I got people out there that want to figure things out. How could they see extraterrestrials? How could they talk to ghosts? How could they talk to past lives? And also, right now, the internet's inundated with all kinds of, I guess, energy foods, acupuncture, and you're talking about crystals and rocks. And they're saying this frequency will help you be here, and it'll help your health and everything. They're selling all this stuff to us, and minerals and all kinds of herbs and things. And you speak about this now, herbs, frequencies, and all the things that they talk about that they're trying to sell us. It used to be back in the 1800s, they called that snake oil, you know. So does any of this help, like frequencies, crystals, herbs, or anything like that, Elsa? Does any of that help? And what's real and
Yeah.
what's not?
Well, um, we won't use any products. We don't use products or skincares or anything on our. I mean, we use shampoo, um, and there's certain things we do use, but we try and eliminate as many. Are those, you know, those really long words on the packet that you can never
Right.
say? If they've got too many of them, what are you putting into your body? So then you hear this saying, "You are what you eat." Well, the more you can eat a bit of those dark green herbs, these are used as parasite cleansers. A lot of them: rosemary, oregano, basil, parsley. None of those bugs like them.
Right.
So you instantly then balance your heaven. Once you understand and balance heaven's gate, then you think clearer. You sleep better at night.
Right.
They speak of med beds. Med beds is feng shui. Balance your room. Harmonize your room. Find out all the EMF in your room and how the magnetics of your house work. Understand the crystals under your home. Understand the water channels of your home. And then you'll go, so my husband and I weren't arguing because we were angry. We were arguing because we were irritated. Why were we irritated? Because there was a water channel going right under our bed. Shift the bed around in the room differently, adjust a few things. You're having peaceful night sleeps. You're not irritated anymore. You have a harmonious relationship.
Mhm.
The crystals, and you can be in the city as well. Like, people just think this is in the country, it's in the city as well. So you look at what's around you, in the environment, and you start to realize that thisness of me, everything affects it. How your room looks, what you eat, the type of water, the people you have around us, what I'm visually looking at before I go to bed, through the day, how I'm breathing. You brought up breathing.
Right.
Do I get enough sunlight? So if you can just bring a bit of all that balanced, then watch what happens. And then you keep getting this bird fly into your life, or you keep seeing or hearing these strange noises at night. Things start to change, and this is what happened to us. So we spent the first decade or 7 years cleaning up our act, doing these natural ways of living while still being fashion photographers and traveling all around the world.
Right.
And then in that time, we also started having children, and we even made that more natural, the whole process of birth. And didn't do parenting how we were told to do parenting, did parenting how we felt, being more guardians for the children rather than do this, do that, do this, do that. This is how it is. We would just be guardians with them.
Right. I
And
would imagine you and your husband Richard are going crazy about how the government's teaching our kids now in school, and they're kind of brainwashing them. And I know how you've been teaching your kids, to be natural and to be able to reach out with your mind and be have that consciousness about you, to be aware. And this must be something that you wouldn't want your kids to go through in school, to be, I guess, orientated towards a certain ideology or whatever. And I know what it sounds like, Elsa. You try to train your kids the right way.
well, this was, well, in the first, we call it the first batch of kids, the first four. we had them in schooling system because we were in Sydney, and this was tricky. We were living in suburbia, and it was tricky because everything we were doing wasn't what the normal was doing. You
Right.
know, home births and all this. So we were the weirdos. Yet they still liked us. They were magnetically wanted to hang out with us. So they felt a calling to be around us, but you could see they couldn't spend too much time because they would become irritated with us as well,
Right.
because they weren't following their calling, and their soul feels this. Their soul keeps tapping on that door, going, "Come on." Well, okay, we're going to take you over to their house again.
Yeah.
You're going to get irritated so that you can go home and address it. And so whenever I say to people, whenever you feel this niggle or irritation or frustration, tap into that, because that's your soul calling you to say there's something not right here. You need to fix it. You need to just adjust it a little bit, or eliminate this food in your diet, or not do that practice anymore, or
Right.
stop watching that show
Yeah.
on
Yeah. Those,
TV. Yeah.
you mentioned something about a movie, and I have a buddy, Tom, who actually wrote some of the. He was a movie script writer back in '08 and in the early 2000s, and he was into the Matrix, and he wrote the Immortals, and but they took it away from him. He got bumped around on that through the rich elites in Hollywood. But you mentioned the Matrix. And that they filmed the Matrix where you lived in Sydney, and you know many of the characters, Neil, Mr. Smith. Do you actually, after meeting these people and seeing some of this stuff, do you believe that we are a matrix? Are we just a computerized matrix, Elsa?
Um, we're definitely a show. So, do I believe we're a hologram? No, I don't believe we're a hologram. Um, what's weird with the Matrix is we literally knew all the characters in the Matrix. Like, we actually helped a few of them get the roles through our photo shoots. So, like the woman in red,
Yeah.
like she was one of our models that we would shoot a lot. Like, Richard took her to Greece, like on Greek Isle shoot, you know. So, um, she got recognition to be in that role through our photography of her. Um, Mr. Smith, I would see at the cafes all the time, just very early in the morning before we would go off to our shoots. And the Keanu, I would see in the lift all the time. So I would have a Matrix moment with Keanu. I had a private hairdresser.
Right.
And he used to do Keanu's hair while I was here in Australia. And this hairdresser would say, "You're always running late for your appointments. I want you to meet Keanu." And I was like, yeah, "Look, Keanu is Keanu. It was just another celebrity for me. So I didn't need to meet another celebrity. You know, if I was meant to meet him, I was meant to meet him." But him and I would go through the lift like this, like we'd be a whoosh next to each other. So it was quite funny. So then I knew that version before the film come out, and then the film comes out and I'm going, "Are you kidding me? That's what used to happen in the lift."
Really?
The black coat. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was weird. A lot of the places where they filmed is places where we would go and eat, once a week or something. So the whole film was quite bizarre for Richard and I.
For
I
Mike,
went to The Matrix, and it was the last film we've ever seen at the cinema.
really? Yeah.
Yeah, and I went to The Matrix, and I came out of The Matrix, and I didn't know what the hell it was about.
Hmm.
But yeah, I was doing all this, cleaning up our acts and stuff, but I didn't understand The Matrix then.
Well, it's kind of like you crossing over into other realms, and what they're doing is crossing over into other realms where they're targeted realms where they go and fight the bad people or whatever, and they get into these I guess sci-fi type fantasy fights. So yeah, they're doing a crossover into something, it's something else. That's what that's all about. Uh,
Well, they're going into how we discussed before, they're going into the anchor points.
mhm.
Do you notice, like, when they say they tap in, they know where to go? They know to go to the key master, or
Right.
they know to go and see the oracle. How do they know to go there? Because they're tapping into, like I said, that dream or that calling, that message they had. They're tapping into that anchor spot because they know there's a key there, the key, an anki, an anki. So once you go in, tap into it and face it and unravel it and have a better understanding like a shaman would, then you take the key and now it's your shaft.
Hmm. And they take the
So,
red pill. Yeah, the red pill.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So they make it into that. But you talked about ghosts and now you were 5 years old. I think I read in the notes that when you started this empath and realization of your consciousness. Is that true? Is that right? Do I have that right?
I actually have a photo in one of the videos where I'm 18 months old,
Wow.
and I remember that moment very clearly. That was the time where I had I would have had my first calling, I guess.
Mhm.
And that was the other realm.
Yeah,
Um,
I just
and then it's quite bizarre. The whole thing's bizarre. Then I had a near death with a car at, I think, 4. And um, that encounter connected me to an encounter that I have in 2017. And they told me that that was them.
oh, so
I
it's
was like, what?
kind of
So,
like a synchronicity. I mean,
well,
synchronicities are real too, right?
they were going, well, they showed me it was like the anchor. So it took all of this to prepare me to understand, get my temple and soul ready to 2017. Okay, now we can explain to you back what happened here.
Hmm.
And so now take all that information from there and bring it to now. And then it gets all mashed together. I always say to the kids, it's just like a big cake mix. So then you're just adding a new ingredient. So it's just now another different type of cake. And you mix it all up together. So you're collecting all these sources.
I know a lot of people ask this question too, I'm asking you, I guess, questions that you're probably not used to being asked. But a lot of my listeners, followers, they want to know like what are ghosts, and I just asked you that, and what's ETs. Uh, the thing now, I know you explained somewhat of it when you say you cross over and everything. Where do we go? And I don't believe in holographic bodies either. I think our bodies are physical, but our souls
Yep.
are actually like a matrix type of thing. We can travel with with that. But where do we go when our physical bodies die, Elsa?
Where do we go? So between the camera and me is space.
Hmm.
And there's nothing there, right?
Right.
Wrong. There's so much between here. Um, there's so much between here. And then there's so much between me and someone across the other side of the world. Where do we go in there? Well, then there's not just there, there's out as well.
Hmm.
So what you look up to the sky, there's this as well. So where do we go? It depends on your spin, because even though if you're not in stream state, so you're not in the temple state, so you're not in a shell or a seed or a pod, but you're now just smoke because you've just been cremated. Where do you go? You're still smoke. You're still that particle in the smoke, but now you're going to go somewhere else because this is creation. Creation wants you to keep creating. Creation doesn't go, that's it.
Right.
Creation just keeps creating on top of creating. Like, we believe Earth is actually growing, is a being. It keeps growing. So
Right.
these asteroids and meteors coming past, they keep adding to Earth, not decreasing Earth. This is how we believe Earth is growing. Um, Where does that essence go? This, I, I don't think even creation knows where it will go. And that's what is amazing about creation. Anyone that says they know everything about creation, I think that's impossible, because even creation's going, how do they know that? I don't even know. I
Yeah.
don't think creation knows that. It just wants to keep creating. If you want to create in a way that doesn't feel good, you can do that. You can do that. Creation's happy for that. If you want to create over here, you can do it this way. If you want to create and be a copy, you can do this as well.
Hmm.
But it wants creation, wants the new all the time. It wants the new way, the new, the new, the new.
So it's not basically reincarnation. You're explaining it a little different than reincarnation, right, Elsa?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's not reincarnation. We will have a better term for it one day, I know, but not personally me, maybe, but uh, we it at the moment. Um, Reincarnation, even the word doesn't mean past. It means now. It means you're the soul in Khan. You're in Khan.
right.
Yeah. So even that word isn't a past word. So there's no, like many cultures and indigenous believe, there is no past, present, future, because it's all spinning at the same. But it's very confusing, and try explaining it to kids as well. Like that's even trickier.
Then,
But they're very good. Because they haven't been gooped up like I was as a child with, schooling and stuff. They they just go, oh yeah, and then they run off and play. They don't.
right.
And
I
this
see
is
you
this is
said inner essence. You talk about that oversoul connection and agreement. Do we have do do we make a choice when we cross over, Elsa?
so the seed comes in to the incarn, and I do believe that we have a show. We have, because how does astrology have a map for us? It's very bizarre. Like, so in 97, we're having our astrology done. And in 97, the astrologer, who's channeling as well, the stars, says to us, you will go global in 2022 and 2023, and you'll be royal. And she said, do you have any royal bloodlines? I'm like, no. She said, oh, I wonder if it's to do with your fashion photography. And I said, oh, it must. Maybe we're going to photograph royals or something, but go global. And she said, yeah, but the whole family's going global. And I was like, how is this possible? She didn't even know how many kids we were going to have back then. So how did her star reading know about 20, 20 or 30 years later? So there must be an agreement. There must be a role or there is a path that we're all on. There has to be for that. There also must be a path if we can remote view.
Right.
But then there must also be allowance for creation. So what happens is remote viewing is us seeing present, past, future, and it's a moment. So it's a moment, so an anchor or a spot, and then it's an alignment. So another alignment comes across, and we all line our alignments. You hear of alignment a lot, crossing over. And what happens is when you look at an atom going like this, spinning, 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 what's it doing? Every time it spins around, it's crossing another line of itself.
Hmm.
So these are the alignments. This becomes the golden compass. This becomes Chronos. This collapses time. So time, instead of being looked at as 2D, now becomes like a sphere, like an atom inside us. And so the more you start tapping into all these alignments in you, the more ascended we become as masters of ourselves.
Yeah, you mentioned
Uh,
astrology, and there's some people who equate the Bible. They said it's written with astrology involved in it. So astrology is very believable, Elsa.
yeah. Well, I, pretty much we find anything that they make fun of or tease or say it's not true, you can pretty much switch it around now and say it is.
Mm-hmm.
We found military exercises would coordinate with astrology. And because we're photographers, we got it all documented. Not through choice either. We were just doing it to make better fashion photo shoots, to make the whoever we were photographing, the talent, look their best.
Right.
So we would, if there was plane spray going on, we would know that on the full moon they tend not to spray. Why? So then we look into why they don't want to spray on the full moon.
So you're talking about chemtrails, right?
Yeah, we never say that word, so because we never want to get anyone glitched, but
Yeah.
we always So we've been aware of these things because it was in our career. We were aware of what it would do to sunlight
Mm-hmm.
and beauty.
Yeah.
So so basically you take all the tools that are there for you, all the astrology, all the ancient text, all the herbs, and the shaman messages, and you take it all and you bring it into you and find what resonates for you, because not all of it will work.
Yeah. Right.
Like Richard can go and meditate in the sun, and he meditates just like that. And I'll be lying next to him with my arms crossed going, how does he do that? Because it doesn't work like that for me. It just doesn't. I'm not as great as meditating like that. I do things differently.
Yeah.
So, but his makeup does it like that. So,
Yeah.
even in our family dynamics, we're so different, all of us. Yeah.
And it's just like minerals and herbs and vitamins affect people differently. Some of us don't
Yeah.
need certain herbs and minerals. Yeah.
Well, that's a great topic. We were vegan for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then just recently, since the lockdowns, 4 family members have gone back to having dairy and meat. They require it in their diet. They have a calling for it, but the other family members can't eat it. But we don't judge them for that,
Right.
as they don't judge us for it, but they just have to follow what they've got to do. So there's no right or wrong. It's just that's right for them. This is right for us. That's right for them.
What can you tell? I know I have a lot of abductees who talk to me and they write me and everything. And it's like myself. I've been told that I need to really meditate and get into my breathing and into communicating and going to the other side and talking to these dimensional entities, since I've been touched by them through my life, through ETs and everything. And there's a lot of abductees. They call themselves contactees because they're visited more than once. They're visited quite a bit of time throughout their life, and that's like me. How can I make sense of this? Number one, being an abductee and a contactee, and how can I communicate with these beings or these dimensional beings that are approaching me? Elsa, do you have I guess anything that you can tell us that could help us maybe find something solid?
Yeah, it's really important to literally clean up your act, because if you go and open up those realms, if you're not, if your act isn't at a certain level, it will come across misunderstood.
Okay. Cleaning
So
up our act means get rid of all the negatives in our lives.
yeah, so well, some people it's changing their diet. Some people it's stop playing killing games on TV, or if you see so we have the ones they're watching us. There's the watcher ones as well, and there's the ones that just tap into us. But if you're attracted to killing, they might possibly come through in that form to get your attention.
Right.
So if you're gonna, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they don't really care the good or the bad. They're just wanting to get your attention
Hmm.
to get on with the message or the calling or the path or the orbit. So this is where it gets all mixed up as being negative and they're out to get us and all this, but it's what you're doing through your day to day as well. So it comes back to being a lot very responsible, and this is where again I lose a lot of the audience because they would rather not do it that way. They would rather just go and see a psychic or someone,
Yeah.
and a psychic and astrologer and having a tarot cards read and things, they can get you to a certain point, but there's always that point where you have to continue on for you in your. They can't. No one can do it for you. I have tried. I tried to do it for my children. Tried not to make it scary, not to do it this way, and interfering made it worse. I really have to say it did. It really did make it worse.
Mhm.
Not only for my experience, but for theirs, because I'm interfering with our path, our course, our spin. And so as soon as I step away and allow, so ground, all low ground, then within instances, it all seems to get better
Yeah.
because I'm not butting in,
Yeah.
not
So,
forcing
yeah.
myself.
Yeah. Since you have a farm, and since this is an old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. That's
Yeah.
basically that's it.
Yeah.
I this has been an exciting. Can you believe over an hour and a half has went by, and
Wow.
it's been exciting listening to you. I'm gonna have to have you back, and I'm sure a lot of people. You make a lot of connections with a lot of consciousness and meditation and what it takes, and you have eight. I want to remind people, uh, Elsa and Richard Dillon, they have eight children, and they've lived this with their kids, and they raised a beautiful family, and and they have a farm. They're going living naturally now, and my goodness, I mean they're grounded. I mean bare feet on dirt. I guess that's grounded, right?
Yeah. That is a lot of digging, a lot
Yeah.
of just being, yeah. But see, we're around a lot of water as well. So again, back in with the records and
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah. So
Okay, so we're going to close this show out. Elsa, could you tell us how we can get a hold of you and websites or whatever I'll put it in a narrative also when
yeah.
I put the video out. So yeah, let's could you tell us where we can get a hold of you?
Yes, we have a website called spinbeings.com.
Hmm.
In this, you'll find a section called videos, and you can go in and see all the. Yeah, there's a simple.
Yeah, you see that sign?
uh,
Okay.
yeah, see it everywhere. Um, yeah, so you can go in and check out the videos. We make small shorts of interviews and things, just keynotes, just to get people interested, because people resonate with one interview and then they'll resonate with another one and then they're ready for the next one. So yeah, this is. We also do one-on-one sessions, and we also come in and meet with big groups of people. And but yeah, like you said, that you focus more in on one topic and then unfold it all together.
Yeah,
And this has been great
we all need,
sharing.
yeah, we all need to fill a void that we're missing. And myself with the ET connection, and I'm wondering why me? Well, I've been saying that for years. A lot of people, and then you ask yourself, who are they? What do they want? And that's why I wrote my first book. I've got three books. Angel book is my the third book. Fourth book, I got a sci-fi between an alien and a humanoid, a real human person, and they're heroes and they fight the underground. But I'm finishing that book. But the first book was they who, what do they want? And that's been my question. What do they want? And that's why I kind of alluded to some of the ET stuff that I was throwing at you, because there's a lot of people who are interested in what are these things? What are these ghosts? What are these spirits? What are these ETs? What is it all about and where we're going? You have a lot of good answers. And I'm really, really glad to, touch base with you and know you and get a chance to, to know where you're at with a lot of this information and knowledge. And you lived it for 30 years. And, so that's great, So Elsa, is anything else you want to say before we close?
No, this has been great. Thank you, Dave, for having me. Yeah, it's
Uh,
great sharing with you guys.
yes, I know my audience will really like your what you know they'll also will admire you having 8 kids and you have a farm and you made some changes in your life and I know a lot of people are going to admire that and they're going to trust that if they follow what you're saying here that it's going to lead them to a better way of life and myself even trying to get my consciousness strong enough to talk to the realms on the other side so I can figure out what is all this ET stuff. So Elsa Dillon, thank you so much, and your family and your husband that's been involved in all this these years. Thank them too, Richard and the 8 kids. So thank you so much for being on the show. And this is Dave Emmons with the Strange Reality. Good night or good evening, good morning. Bye bye.